Not bad. And how about yourself?
Yeah, really good. It's great to see you again, and thanks so much for joining me for this little feedback session. So today we are talking about your journey with the coaching, and just want the folks to know basically how you got along with the coaching and what results you got and what was your feeling about it. So if we can start at the very beginning, I know it seems like eons ago, but can you remember what it was like when your last job ended, and what kind of situation were you in?
Sure. It does feel like a lifetime ago. The job that I had, just to sort of like completely change from that job to the industry which I'm at right now. It was, to be completely honest, it was a little bit fearful for myself to go, oh, can I actually do this? So there was obviously a crisis of confidence, but also compounded by the fact that this is an industry which I just had no kind of contact apart from just like doing my studies before. So those were the sort of main challenges which we can probably put into like communication and also confidence as well, primarily.
And can you remember, well, if you don't mind, I'd like to tell the folks what job industry that was.
Sure.
Yeah, because you studied, if you can start at the beginning, where you actually studied what subject at university?
I studied Bachelor in Science in Business Economics.
Okay, but then you got somehow wrapped up in the hospitality industry and worked in a pub.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that was supposed to be temporary, right? Like straight after college.
Yeah, it started off as kind of like a stopgap to before I find a proper job in quotation. Interestingly enough, I just enjoyed it so much, and I got promoted very quickly. So it kind of went to a point where I changed my career trajectory from being maybe a business intelligence analyst to like a bar manager instead.
Which you did very well. Yeah, but then it came to an end as the pandemic started. Is that right?
That is correct. So, yeah.
What happened exactly?
Essentially, when not just hospitality, but every industry sort of closed for a brief amount of time during the lockdowns in UK and worldwide. But one of the, like in terms of food and beverage, that's the industry that got hit the hardest. We kind of came to a point where we were not sure that if we would be able to keep our own jobs in management, forget about people who are doing the day-to-day every single day and being there showing the face front of house. So there was like, that's when I sort of just went, you know what, this will be the golden opportunity. I wouldn't get another chance. I have kind of in my fantasies went, oh, I should change my industry, but that never happened.
Yeah.
So
and I think at the beginning you thought this shouldn't be that difficult.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
but then what happened? What was the situation like after you found yourself without a job?
So it was very, for lack of better words, tedious. I knew that I wanted to be in point B, but staying in point A, wondering how to take that step and get there. So a lot of facts of like, oh, being fearful about, oh, how do I approach this? How do I speak with in an interview, even if I land one? What kind of key skills I can highlight? Just not having a clear strategy, really. in terms of how to get from point A to point B, basically.
Right. So you were stuck as how to get from where you were to where you wanted to be. And where you wanted to be was what exactly?
So I always saw myself, even at the bar job itself, I was very good in terms of solving problems, de-escalating. So quite a few aspects of my customer service skills were sort of, which could actually go into doing troubleshooting on a regular basis, where I had a little bit of training in a few tech things. I learned some HTML, some Java, and some little bit of Oracle. So I didn't really see, so I had the theory, but I didn't quite have like, oh, how could I really see myself doing like what kind of things there? But I want to use troubleshooting skills. That was sort of like the main ask from.
So you had those skills and you had some knowledge and you had your educational background, but you wasn't sure how you're going to put all that together and actually get yourself from A to B. Is that right?
That is right.
Yeah. So what was some of the main challenges facing you at that time?
The main challenges, there was always the monetary aspect of it, because we did have a little bit of stuff covering us during the bar periods when we were not working. We had the furlough scheme, but then again, if you were in full-time job, that by comparison is far less than what you're getting paid. But also more of towards an aspect where making that shift. I didn't really have the skills to sort of back up or highlight what my key skills are in terms of like changing the industry. So those were the sort of blockers which, A, a change really needed to happen, but B, I didn't have the tools on the how, like just getting into the nitty-gritty details.
Yeah, and I think you were kind of stuck because, so one of my questions is, how did you feel? I mean, what was it that led you to start the coaching?
I mean, obviously, I ended up seeing that, yes, I am missing the skills in terms of applying. I mean, firstly, I really didn't know even how to look for a job outside of a bar job. So having those kind of skills in terms of, I didn't have any interview skills, I didn't have any, had writing skills, but to marry this up to the industry, working right now, I didn't have any of that. I didn't have any of that.
So what was your confidence level like then? If I said to you then, do you think you'll get a job in IT? What was your level of confidence on a 1 to 10 scale?
So if I was completely honest and looking back in hindsight, I would rate myself maybe a 4 at that time. And essentially after we had the the coaching session, I would give myself a solid 8.5, essentially.
Yeah, that was by the time we finished. Yeah. Well done. So the coaching helped you in what kind of ways?
I think the overarching theme has been, through everything, has been communication, where if I was to be asked a question on, what are your key skills or competencies, I wouldn't really be able to follow up apart from just using a keyword. So to actually highlight the skill and elaborate what I've done, what I've done in the past to sort of demonstrate that. So mainly communication skills, but then also not just in terms of answering, but asking questions back as well, for my own benefit at the end of the interviews, or like, during the interview. So I would say number 8, communication, the biggest one.
Okay, and that's fantastic. That's so good to hear. And how have you grown, like, within yourself, like emotionally or psychologically, do you think you've grown during the coaching?
I would say the communication has really helped in terms of confidence in abilities, but also if I wasn't sure on how to do it or know something, I actually had the resources and the confidence in myself to go and find answers. That was one of the big things where I would end up feeling helpless on certain things.
Yeah.
But then after the coaching, I told myself, my internal dialogue changed a bit, and I went, oh, it's fine not to know the answer, but actually I can go away and look at this.
Yeah.
Just I can't find the answer right now doesn't mean it's oh, I can't answer at all.
Yeah. So it grew your confidence quite a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So by the end of the coaching, you were ready to step into those interviews, to take them head on. And how was the interview for you when you went for this particular job?
Absolutely. So if I was to draw a parallel, when I was a bit younger, I did sports and martial art quite thoroughly. So there was that exhilarating feeling where there is always that fear that, yeah, I can fail, I can fall down on my face and things like that. I also had that confidence where you're sort of like swimming against the currents, but you know exactly that you can stay afloat. So having those tools like really helped in terms of the interviews, the conversations I was having with people. It just gave me this exhilarating feeling where I knew that, yeah, I would keep carrying forward and actually there will be an outcome. I don't necessarily have to feel absolutely crap if no coming to the interview.
Yeah.
And also one thing I kind of forgot a little bit during the coaching part itself is that I actually found my own self-worth. During several conversations with different recruiters, there has been times that I clearly, during the conversation, could actually have an internal monologue which told me, actually, I don't want to be priced down for whatever vacancy.
Yeah.
So it was one of those ones where I went, okay, no, I know my worth.
That is so amazing. I'm so proud of you for being able to do that. So you were able to set the bar for your own self-worth, and which you wouldn't have been able to do before you had done the coaching. Is that right?
That is right. I would have started with a much less paid salary and maybe not even a company where I'm not fulfilled like I am every day right now.
Yeah, and I think that's why you happen to stay. I mean, I remember at the very beginning, you were probably thinking, I'd have to go back to a pub job, you know.
There was that consideration.
Yeah, and that was okay. Let's admit it. That was the comfort zone, and we did quite a lot of work on stepping out of that comfort zone. And once you were out of that comfort zone, you were flying. It was amazing. And so eventually when the guys for the current company that you're working, when they came back to you and say, hey, we're going to offer you this job, how did you feel?
It was absolutely, like, just this being brutally honest, it was absolutely mind-boggling in the sense that, yes, I did speak with 5 different people. I did go through 2 different assessments. I did put in all the work.
So it was like a panel interview with 5 people?
It was, so it was primarily 2 person who spoke individually, but then the final one was with 3 people as a panel interview.
So they were very rigorous about the way they interviewed.
Incredibly rigorous. They are my current managers now, actually, and well, for other departments. I absolutely love them to bits, but obviously the amount of support I've gotten right now, I didn't have it at that time, so I didn't know who these people were. They had a nice smile on their face. They asked me questions. They were genuinely interested in my answers because I know them now. But at that time, these are just strangers, and I'm giving a lot of answers to them, which I have like no idea like how they're being taken on. I was very exhilarated, but the main thing that was going through in the back of my mind is that the happiness sort of came from like seeing the hard work being paid off. There's always that inner skeptic, which is there, which is telling you every day, oh, maybe not this time, maybe next time.
Yeah.
Oh, be another, and things like that.
So they took you on immediately, or did they give you a probationary period?
So they gave me, so it was basically 2 days of waiting time. It was the main person who was the recruiter. She came back and said, oh, we're very happy to offer you a job. This is within 48 hours. She came, just gave me.
And how did you feel then?
I couldn't believe it. I literally turned into from being a professional, like, hey, how's it going? How's your day? To like, oh, this is absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Like,
yeah.
I just couldn't believe it. Yeah.
That was so fantastic. I'm so chuffed for you. And you've been there now, what, how long? Almost a year and a half?
Year going up to a year and 7 months, 8 months.
And how do you feel now, having worked with them this long?
It's just incredible. They are sort of on the same level of where I have always told myself. I had that inner skeptic going, oh, this is very difficult, this is that, this is whatever, XYZ reasons. Working with these people, it's been incredible that I get to do things just like right now at the job I'm at. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I would just tell myself this is just impossible. Mm-hmm. I tend to do things nowadays almost on a weekly, daily basis, which they seem impossible at the beginning when I look at these issues first. And
meaning you can do some tasks, or you have responsibilities that you wouldn't have imagined that you could do before.
Pretty much. In terms of the skill sets, like there is the whole technical thing where I'm like, oh, this is amazing that I've been able to find an answer or fix this code.
Yeah.
Whereas also we had a little thing called Innovation Week, which is like a very small project that runs for a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. What the company did was for all the individual small teams, they put the newer people in charge of the captaincy. So I happened to be picked as one of them. And then obviously we did have all the resources, but it literally was, I kind of had to stop myself from overthinking on how to conduct a session or whatever. I just made some notes and went, let's get people together, bash heads together, and out an answer to how we improve our own workflow.
Wow. So you can be innovative, you can instigate your own ideas, right? And you can put forward your thoughts, your inspiration, whatever you and implement things in your own way and have the autonomy to do that, which is amazing. And I think that you are also going to be working towards getting promoted. Is that right?
Yeah, that's touch wood. So it has been the same thing from day one. It's amazing to sort of just rewind back a tiny bit, that once your values align with whoever you're working for or whatever you're doing every day, it just goes from strength to strength. Doesn't mean I don't have the Monday feeling every day. But beyond that, where I know where I'm going, and from sort of the very first few months, it was very clear with conversation between my leaders and myself that they were going to put me on with extra products, with extra responsibility, extra sort of things to look at. And I am happy to say, for maybe the first time in my life, I am actually very fairly compensated for it. So, yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. This is so important for people to hear. I mean, you went from, working in a bar, working nights, not having time during the evenings to have a social life of your own. Okay, you had a social life in the pub, but you didn't have a life outside of that. And you're working sometimes 7 days a week. And now you work office hours and you have your own freedom, and you are much better paid. And as far as I'm understanding, you actually love what you do. So that is the key. That is what I wanted for you. And I'm so, so, so happy that you got there and achieved that. So well done, you. 5 stars, 10 stars. Is there anything you would like to tell the audience out there, tell people who might have been in a similar position, wanting to change their careers around totally and don't know where to go? What would you say to them?
Yeah, sure. I mean, for me, essentially, I was kind of at a very lucky period where we started having the conversation and we kind of discussed a few things, then we put the strategy on. If there is someone out there, and I understand nowadays a lot more people are doing their own projects and their own businesses, a lot of different things, especially at the beginning, if you're having a massive change or you want to start off on your own things, it can be very daunting. You essentially could just go, yes, I have got maybe even the skills or whatever, but I just don't know how to go from this point to the next point. I would just say maybe have a conversation with Naz, just in the sense that, like, same like nowadays where I'm like, oh, I don't know the answer myself, but I know exactly who to reach out to have that conversation. I can reach out to my leader, to one of my friends, to whoever else at work, outside of work. So there are resources out there which it really can help you on figuring out whatever, but you kind of just need to do it certain times and have sort of a strategy where you literally go, okay, now everything kind of makes sense. Let's start putting little strategies, who to ask and what to do or research what, to effectively make a roadmap for my success from this point to the next point. Yeah. So everyone can do that, but it's just about kind of training your mind a little bit, which I think is one of the biggest of all. So biggest
challenge, So where would you say your level of inner confidence is now as compared to where you were, back before you had the coaching?
Yeah, so prior to, I mean, obviously we spoke a little bit about the skill, but there was what's the main thing before having the coaching was that it was the fear in terms of the little inner skeptic going, oh, I can't do this.
Yeah.
It will always be there, I think.
Yeah.
But what you do with that, it's entirely up to you, where you could just learn to train your mind to go, I'm going to ignore that.
Yeah.
I have successfully, in a different circumstance, have found an answer or have done something which I'm very proud of.
Yeah.
So I would go, say, maybe going back to the scale from a 4 to a solid 8.
Yeah. Brilliant. So it's still a little bit of work to do, but you've come a long way. You've doubled that number. So I'm very proud of you. Well done. Thank you so much for your time today. And I wish you tons of luck for the future.
Oh, thank you so much. And
bye for now.
Bye.